The road to Budapest is finally eating up, and the UEFA Champions League quarterfinals is set with 8 teams fighting for the biggest European trophy. And we have 2 Premier League teams in the quarterfinals, 3 La Liga teams in the quarterfinals, 1 French team, and 1 Portuguese team. And the French team is PSG and the Portuguese team is Sporting CP. And in the English Premier League, we have just 2 teams, which are Arsenal and Liverpool. And the La Liga, we have Barcelona, Real Madrid, and Atletico Real Madrid in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. This video, we are going to be looking at the teams that qualified, their last match in their round of 16 phase, the team that is likely to win, and their opponent. So let's get into the video. Please like, subscribe, and share. This is your little way of supporting this football community. So let's get into the video. So far so good. We have 2 Premier League teams that will be playing in the quarterfinals of the Champions League, and Arsenal will be playing against Sporting CP in the quarterfinals. Arsenal, which are the favorites to win the Premier League this season, have been known for their attacking powers, their defensive play, their hold-up play. Their midfield is so good, and Mikel Arteta for sure has trained this team on how to play so well, on how to defeat bigger teams. And the last time they defeated Bayern Leverkusen 3-1 on aggregates, defeating them 2-1, 2-0 in the return leg. And Eberechi is bagging a wonderful goal. Declan Rice is also bagging a wonderful goal, making it 3-1 on aggregates for the team, allowing them to cruise into the quarterfinals of the Champions League. And looking at it, Arsenal are really strong contenders in this year's Champions League, in winning it. And looking at the group stage of the Champions League, they were the top of the table. They were the leader on the table in the group stage of the Champions League. Will they be able to replicate that same form? Will they be able to win the Champions League this season? It's something that we need to watch back and see. And Sporting CP, the Portuguese club that are in the quarterfinals of the Champions League this season, did a wonderful comeback against Bodo Glimt in the round of 16 of the Champions League. Bodo Glimt had the lead in the first leg of the Champions League, but going into the second leg of the Champions League, Sporting CP turned things around and they had a dominant win against Bodo Glimt in the second leg, in the return leg of the Champions League, allowing them to cruise and advance into the quarterfinals of the Champions League. Arsenal versus Sporting CP. Who do you think is likely to go into the semi-finals of the Champions League? I feel like Arsenal will get into the semi-finals of the Champions League. We've seen the way Arsenal has been performing, and for Sporting CP to be defeated in the first leg of the Champions League, coming back into the second leg, they might give Arsenal their run for the semi-final spots in the Champions League. But I feel, and the likely winner to get into the semi-finals of the Champions League is going to be Arsenal. And if Arsenal does not advance to the semi-finals of the Champions League, just come back to this video and tell me that my analysis is not correct. Real Madrid will be facing Bayern Munich in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. And Real Madrid defeated Manchester City 4-1 on aggregate at Santiago Bernabeu Stadium. Valverde scored an hat-trick that made Real Madrid have like a real dominant win against Manchester City. And when Manchester City played against them in their home, they were not able to do anything, as they were not able to come back. And Vinicius Junior scored a penalty which made it 4-1 on aggregate for Real Madrid, and allowing them to advance to the quarterfinals of the Champions League. And now they are Looking at Real Madrid experience in the Champions League, they are also part of the strong contenders in winning this year's Champions League, because when it comes to the Champions League, the effort of Real Madrid cannot be sidelined. You cannot sideline Real Madrid efforts, their experience, whatever thing they have to bring, because Champions League is their league. They are always winning it. They have so many Champions League titles. So getting into the quarterfinals is nothing for Real Madrid. Even to the semi-finals is nothing for them, and they are going to be facing Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich defeated Atalanta 10-2 on aggregate, allowing them get to the quarterfinals of the Champions League. And now they are going to be facing Real Madrid, with the experience Real Madrid have in the Champions League and with the attacking powers of the Bayern Munich team. It's going to be a very tough match for these two big teams. I don't know who is likely to get to the semi-finals, but I will go with Real Madrid, because Real Madrid, when it comes to the Champions League is Real Madrid league. So Real Madrid has an edge. They have an advantage over Bayern Munich going into the semi-finals of the Champions League. Liverpool will be facing PSG in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. And looking at Liverpool performance in the Champions League, it has been so shaky. Their performances has not been really strong, even in the Premier League. And they meeting the defending champions of the Champions League will be something really extremely hard for Liverpool, defeating PSG. PSG defeated the world champions 8-2 on aggregate. So I don't think anything spectacular would happen that Liverpool will now defeat PSG. Although this is football, any team can beat a bigger team. But looking at the stats, PSG has an edge. They have the higher edge of getting things done, of getting into the semi-finals of the Champions League, other than Liverpool. Barcelona will be facing Atletico Madrid in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. The two La Liga teams will be going head to head in the quarterfinals. And looking at how Barcelona cruised into the Champions League quarterfinals, I can say that Barcelona are very strong in getting to the finals of the Champions League. And also Atletico Madrid also cruised well in the round of 16 and got into the Champions League quarterfinals. But looking at the goal aggregates, you're going to know that Barcelona are on the higher edge. They are very strong. They are really strong contenders in getting things done against Atletico Madrid, because Atletico Madrid faced Tottenham Hotspur. They allowed Tottenham Hotspur do a comeback in the second leg of the Champions League. Just that it was not so enough for them to be able to get to the quarterfinals of the Champions League. But Barcelona defeated Newcastle 8-3 on aggregate. That's a very long goal margin. So Barcelona to win against Atletico Madrid in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. What team do you think is going to make it to the semi-finals of the Champions League? And what team do you think is likely and is a really strong contender in winning this year's Champions League? Let me hear your opinion, and please do not forget to like, share and subscribe and comment on this channel so I can know if this video is very entertaining or it is not. Thank you for watching. Thank you for staying till the end. See you next time on Midday Love Football.